I'm live. It says. There we go. Finally. Oh my goodness. Hi guys. Oh. Okay, yeah, we are live now. Officially. After some struggles. So, hi guys. Welcome back to. Oh, sorry. I'll let you do your intro that you've been waiting for.
Welcome to my Mel Squad YouTube live. This is my talker, it helps me speak.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Mel's Squad YouTube Live. Today we are going to be doing book club. I know we're having local technical difficulties, but it is 5:03 and Mel and I have a lot of editing to do tonight. Today we are reading the Christmas story book collection from Disney. I don't think I'll be able to hold it up to you guys because this book is really heavy. We've decided we're reading Toy Story, The Little Mermaid, and The Mickey Mouse Christmas Carol. So it should be good. I'll try to show you the pages, but this book's kind of awkward. So Mel and I will see the pages. So, A Toy Story Christmas. Let's actually, before we do that, let's ask a question in the chat. Okay, don't know what I just did there, guys, but I did something. A question in the chat is, what do you want for Christmas? So, comment down below and tell us. Don't be shy. Let's get started. Take that, Andy said in Woody's voice. You're spending Christmas in jail. He put Ham the piggy bank into an old shoebox with slits cut into the side. Andy was playing in his room with his toys. The one hand he held Woody the cowboy, and the other was Buzz Lightyear the space ranger. You'll be seeing bars for a long time, Andy added. Buzz Lightyear's commanding tone. Andy's mother came into the room and sat down on the bed. Andy, I have a surprise for you, she said. You know Christmas is coming up, and this year, for your big present, we're going to the Grand Canyon. Andy dropped Woody and Buzzy on the floor, and he jumped up and down. Hooray, Andy said. That was the best present ever. Can I take Buzz and Woody? He picked up his two favorite toys. I think it's better you leave them here, his mother said. You'll be so busy you won't have any time to play. Now come on, we have a lot to do to get ready. The moment the door shut behind Andy and his mother, the toys came to life. Buzz sat up, Woody straightened his cowboy hat. All right, Rex the dinosaur said as he came out from under the bed. The trip is Andy's big present this year. That means no other toys can take our place. I was worried Andy was going to get a video game, Ham added. All the toys started talking at once. Hold on a minute, Woody said. He walked to the center of the room. Are you sure it's great that there aren't going to be any new toys to replace us? But do you know what? But did you think about what else this means? Christmas without Andy. Everyone got quiet. A Christmas without Andy? Why Christmas without Andy? Wouldn't seem like Christmas at all. R.C. Fender drooped sadly. Slinky Dog hung his head. Even the Green Army men looked glum. Buzz Lightyear walked over to Woody. Andy will be gone, but that doesn't mean we can't have Christmas. We'll make it a toy Christmas. Woody looked at all the other toys around him. He forced a smile onto his face. Buzz is right. We'll have a great Christmas this year. But deep down, Woody knew it couldn't happen. It was true that they could have their own Christmas, but without Kid, who loved them all, it wouldn't be as much fun. After Andy and his family left on their trip, the toys started getting ready for Christmas. They had a lot to do. They made decorations, practiced singing songs, and looked for presents for each other. Psst, Woody, over here, Jessie hissed loudly. Woody found her hiding behind a stack of books. Look what I found, she said proudly. She held up a red bandana. Why, Jessie, Bullseye has been looking for his bandana for months. Woody said. I know, Jessie grinned. It's going to be a great present for him. Come and sing Christmas carols, Wheezy the penguin called to Woody. All right, Woody said. He thought maybe the song would put him in the Christmas spirit. Wheezy grabbed Mike the tape recorder, and as the music began, his high, squeaky voice dropped to a deep baritone. First he belted out a rocking rendition of Santa Claus is Coming to Town. Then he glided into a jazzy Frosty the Snowman, but when Wheezy started crooning Blue's Clues, Woody had to move away. It all made him think how sad he would be without Andy. Catch you later, Wheezy, Mike, Woody said with the tip of his hat. Wheezy and Mike continued to sing as Woody walked off. He was glad his friends were in the holiday spirit, but he couldn't stop thinking about how much he missed Andy. He went over to the other side of the room. Hey, Woody, want to help us decorate? Slinky Dog asked. Watch this. He gave Woody a poke in the ribs, then yelled, hit it! And in a flash, 2 aliens bounced super high and draped a string of red and green buttons along the edge of bookcases. Pretty neat, Slink, Woody said with an approving nod. And a nice job, Sarge, he called the army commander and his troops. They were hanging sparkly silver jacks that looked like 3D snowflakes around the room. We've got a Christmas tree, too, Slinky Dog told them. He pointed to the tree made entirely of cotton balls. Red and green hair ribbons were wrapped around it and tied into a bow at the top. There were already presents under the tree, and they were wrapped in shiny paper and topped with a colorful bow. It looks like a white Christmas, Sarge said. Woody smiled a bit. He was impressed that all the toys were working together to make Christmas a happy holiday. Woody kept track of the days on the calendar in Andy's room. Finally, the big one, December 24th, Christmas Eve. Hours passed with secrets and whispers, and before long, it grew dark outside. All the toys gathered together to celebrate the holidays, but Woody held back. He was thinking of Andy. Hey, Sheriff, Buzz said. Why so down? It's a beautiful night out there, and it's Christmas Eve. I don't know, Buzz, Woody said. It's not the same without Andy. You're right, Buzz said. It's not the same. But you have other friends besides Andy. Come on, he put his arm around Woody's shoulder. Woody and Buzz walked by Bo Peep. She was reading a Christmas story to the newest toys and the ones who've never had a Christmas before. Bo winked at Woody. Lo and behold, Woody's heart felt a little lighter. Then Buzz led Woody over to the Christmas tree. Etch-a-Sketch stood by the tree and roaring fire drawn on his screen. Nearby, someone had set up the wooden blocks to spell out Merry Christmas. Get the lights, Sarge, Buzz shouted. The Sarge saluted and then turned on the lights. Here's a little thing I like to call Christmas magic, Buzz said. He pressed the laser on his right arm and beamed a red light shot onto the white wall. He pressed the button again and again and again. It was so quick that his fingers became a blur. He moved the lights around to the right, the left, up, down, right, up. The lights pulsed around in the dark room, making a show of dancing snowflakes, sugar plums, and lots of toys, dolls, trains, and teddy bears. Woody's jaw dropped and his eyes grew wide. Wow, Buzz, the cowboy said. That's really great. I didn't know you could. His sentence was cut off by a jolly ho-ho roar as RC rolled into the circle. RC was decorated to look like a sleigh, and following behind him was Rex, with his white cotton hat and beard and red sock hat. Sorry about the roar, Rex said, even though no one had been scared. Sometimes I forget I'm Santa Claus, not a fierce, bone-crushing, carnivorous dinosaur. Rex went to the Christmas tree. He picked up presents to give to each and every toy. Bullseye was thrilled to have his bandana back. Mr. Spell got some brand new batteries. Your speaker was getting a little low there, Slinky Dog pointed out. Buzz got a Star Commander 4-way outer space signal interceptor. His friends had put it together out of a small cardboard box, some sequins and an old doll dress, and a lot of duct tape. Thanks, guys, he said. It's just what I always wanted. One of the dolls gave Jessie a dress. Ham's present was a quarter. Woo-hoo, he shouted. That's as good as 25 pennies. 5 nickels, 2 dimes, and a nickel. I'm feeling flush. And then Bo Peep pulled Woody over and gave him a big kiss. He turned red as the Christmas lights. "Aw, shucks, Bo," he said. Woody looked at his friend, Buzz. Buzz was right. Christmas without Andy wasn't better or worse. It was different. Spending the time with the people and toys you love was what Christmas was really all about. "Hey, Buzz." "Woody, everyone," Slinky Dog yelled from the edge of the bed. "Check this out." He pulled the window curtain aside. Snow drifted down. "It's a white Christmas," he shouted. "Merry Christmas, everyone." Woody smiled. "Merry Christmas," he replied. Whew, that was a long story. Okay. Okay. I'm thinking, guys, because we said this wasn't going to be a long one, but it is kind of. Do you want to skip this and do the Mickey Mouse so that we have time to do?
Yes.
Okay. So, guys, we're going to skip the Ariel one that we were just talking about, and we're going to read the Mickey Mouse, Mickey's Christmas Carol, because we do have to do some stuff after the live, so we don't want it to be too long. So, we're going to read, and once again, I really can't show you guys this because it's, like, weird to hold. I'm like, yeah, welcome back to Mickey's Christmas Carol. So, we're going to be reading Mickey's Christmas Carol. Me and Mel have the page in front of us, so we're going to read it. I'm going to read it, and Mel's going to listen because... So Mel's favorite movie is Toy Story. I love anything Mickey Mouse, so this is one of my favorite Christmas stories. It was snowing in London, England on Christmas Eve. Ebenezer Scrooge, the richest man in town, hurried to his office.
I love.
Me too. Oh my god, guys. I keep turning. "Merry Christmas," someone shouted. "Bah, humbug," Scrooge muttered. He didn't know why everyone had to be so cheerful at Christmas time. When Scrooge reached to the door to his office, he looked up in the sign and said, "Scrooged and Marley." But Marley's name was crossed out. He's been dead for 7 years now. Scrooge and Jacob Marley had tricked people who didn't have much into giving them money. They have gone very rich and hadn't cared that they've been unfair. Scrooge cackled as he thought of all of his money. Bob Cratchit, Scrooge's clerk, was just about to throw a piece of coal in the stove when Scrooge walked in. "What are you doing?" Scrooge growled. "I was trying to thaw out the ink," Bob replied. He gave his boss a small but hopeful smile. Scrooge knocked the coal out of Bob's hand and scowled. "You used a piece last week. Get back to work," he said. Bob quickly turned back to his desk.
Is it okay if we edit?
Yeah, we'll edit after this.
I like that.
Perfect. After a few moments, Bob snuck a glance at his boss. Then he said, "Speaking of work, Mr. Scrooge, tomorrow is Christmas, and I was just wondering if I may have the day off." Scrooge was silent for a very long time. "Very well," he said, "but make sure you come in early the day after." Scrooge hung up his jacket and hat, then sat down at his desk and began counting his money. He, money, money, money," he cried. Suddenly, the door burst open. A young man carrying a wreath walked in. "Merry Christmas," the man said. It was Scrooge's nephew, Fred. "Christmas," Scrooge scoffed. "Bah, humbug." Fred walked up to Scrooge's desk and gave him a wreath. He thought the office could use some holiday cheer. "Uncle, I've come to invite you to a Christmas dinner tomorrow," Fred said with a smile. "Oh?" Scrooge asked, as he came from behind his desk. "Will there be plum pudding and sugar cakes and plum roast geese?" "Oh, yes," Fred replied. He nodded his head and smacked his lips. "You know I can't eat that stuff. Now get out." Scrooge got up, opened the door, hung the wreath over Fred's neck, pushed his nephew out into the cold. As he walked back to the desk, the door opened again. Fred smiled, hung the wreath on the inside doorknob, then closed the door. Later that night, as Scrooge walked back to his home, he had a strange feeling that he was being followed. When he reached his front door, he looked at his knocker. It was a lion's head. But Scrooge stared at it and began to change before his eyes. Suddenly, Scrooge was looking at the face of his old partner, Jacob Marley. Ah! Scrooge yelled. Scrooge hurried inside and ended up to his bedroom. He closed the door and climbed into his chair, and he heard some sounds of the clanking chains. He shivered, too afraid to move. Then a ghost appeared beside him. It was Jacob Marley. He was covered in heavy chains. Ebenezer, the ghost wailed as he rattled his chains. Do you know who I am? Scrooge peered at the ghost from under his top hat. When I was alive, I was robbed from the windows and took money from the poor, Jacob said. You were a fine partner, Jacob, Scrooge said with a smile. No, Jacob replied. I was wrong, and now I have to carry these chains forever as a punishment. The same thing will happen to you. Tonight you will be visited by 3 spirits. If you don't listen to them, your chains will be heavier than mine. Then Jacob's ghost disappeared. Scrooge was still shaking with fear as he got ready for bed. After checking his room for more ghosts, he climbed under the covers. Humbug, he muttered to himself, then fell asleep. But it wasn't long before a noise woke him up. Ding, ding, ding. His clock bell was ringing. Scrooge opened his eyes to find a little cricket and a top hat on his bedside table. I am the ghost of Christmas past, the cricket said. We're going to visit your past tonight. The ghost went to the window, pushed it open. Just hold on, the ghost said as he hopped into Scrooge's hand. Scrooge did as the cricket said. They flew into the darkness. The city passed slowly beneath them as they flew high above the snow-covered rooftops. The first stop Scrooge and the ghost of Christmas past made was at a little shop. A party was taking place in the sky. Scrooge looked through the window. It's old Fezwigs, he exclaimed. He saw his old boss and many of his dearest friends laughing and dancing on the inside. Then he saw Isabel, the girl he had once loved. She was dancing with a young man. It was him, back before he became a greedy old man. As if reading Scrooge's mind, the ghost said, in 10 years' time, you'll learn to love something else much more.
I like that.
The spirit showed Scrooge another scene. Isabel and Scrooge were in his house, his counting house. Ebenezer, Isabella said softly, have you made the decision about getting married? I have, Scrooge replied. The last payment on your cottage was late. Then he told her he was taking the cottage away. Isabel began to cry. As Scrooge watched, he shook his head. Remember, Scrooge, the ghost said, you made these memories.
Better?
Of course. Scrooge found himself in the back in his bed again. Then he heard a loud voice say, I am the ghost of Christmas present. Scrooge looked up and saw a giant. The giant lifted him up and carried him out into the night. He brought Scrooge to a shabby little house. Through the window, Scrooge saw Bob Cratchit with his family. They were having Christmas dinner. On the table sat the smallest bird Scrooge had ever seen. Surely they have more food than that, he whispered. Then a smaller boy hobbled into the room in his crutch. His name was Tiny Tim. Tiny Tim looked at the meal on the table. We must thank Mr. Scrooge, he explained. Scrooge turned around to ask about Tiny Tim, but the ghost was gone. He was all alone in a graveyard, and suddenly he saw a dark figure. Are you the ghost of Christmas future? Scrooge asked. The ghost was silent and pointed to the gravestone. Scrooge saw the Cratchit family without Tiny Tim. They were near the grave and crying. The spirit pointed to an empty pit. Whose lonely grave is this? Scrooge asked. Then he realized. I can change, Scrooge cried. Let me change. Suddenly, Scrooge was in his bed again. He ran to his window to look outside. The sun was shining. The streets were covered with snow. Christmas bells were ringing. It's Christmas morning, he cried. The spirits have given me another chance. He pulled onto his hat and coat and ran outside. Merry Christmas, he called to everyone. He passed. He saw his nephew Fred on the street. I'm looking forward to that wonderful meal of yours, he called as he ran by. Bob Cratchit heard a loud knock on his front door. He opened to find Mr. Scrooge on the steps holding a large bag. Scrooge dumped the sack onto the floor. Dozens of toys fell out. Scrooge smiled as the children rushed towards happily. Bob Cratchit, Scrooge said, I'm giving you a raise and making you my partner. Then he handed a large turkey to Mrs. Cratchit. Merry Christmas, he said, happy. Merry Christmas to us all, said Tiny Tim. And that is our 2 stories we're reading for the Christmas storybook collection. I think those were 2 really good stories. I loved them.
Is it okay if we edit?
Yes. That's Mel's way of saying bye, guys. Thank you for watching. So starting next week, which is December, we'll be live streaming twice a week. We'll make sure to post that online too, so don't forget to watch. Bye, everyone.